All right, good morning, everybody. Hopefully, everyone's all bright eyed and bushy tailed. Lots of information to go through today. Do not be doing any fast forwarding. It is up to you to make sure that you understand everything being presented here. Get ready for lesson 12. We're going over lines, rays, segments, number lines, tally marks, and an extra special unannounced appearance by our friends Equations. So to kick it off right now, the study of shapes such as circles, squares, and triangles in math is known as geometry. And four of the simplest figures in geometry are a point, which is just a dot. You have a line, which has arrows on both sides, and that represents the fact that it goes on for infinity in either direction. You have what's called a ray. A ray stops at one point and goes on for infinity in only one direction, is what an arrow will point out. Or a line segment, or sometimes it is called a segment. And segments actually stop on both sides. Sometimes the artists in the room will get confused because it'll say draw a line, and they think a line is just what a line in art looks like. But in the geometry world, this is a segment because it stops on both sides. A line in geometry has arrows on both sides because they go on for infinity on both sides. So lines, rays, and segments can be described as horizontal, vertical, or oblique. And horizontal, that just means straight left and straight right. Vertical means straight up and down. This word oblique just simply means neither horizontal or vertical. It doesn't mean it has to look exactly like this. This would be oblique. This would be oblique. That's oblique. Oblique just means it's not straight up and straight down vertical, or it's not straight left and right horizontal. So we might run into some problems like this that'll say, draw a horizontal ray. So first of all, if you don't know or remember what that word horizontal means, go and take a look at either page 74 or look it up in your glossary. You are welcome to use your book to help you through the Socrative quiz today if you can't remember. Horizontal, let's take a peek back here. Oh yeah, that's horizontal, straight left and right. So I'm first going to start off with something left and right. And then it's a ray. So a ray goes on forever on only one side. So you got to make sure if you're drawing a ray that you got to put an arrow on one side. That would be a horizontal ray. Now it says draw a vertical line. Two different words to focus on. First of all, vertical. Straight up and straight down, correct? That is going to be vertical. Now I have to make it a vertical line. Lines go on forever on two different sides. So I have to have an arrow on both sides to make it a vertical line. Again, use your book or look it up in the glossary, either on page 74 or in the blue glossary in the back of your book if you don't remember. Now I have to draw an oblique segment. So first of all, if you remember that word oblique, oblique just means it's not horizontal, it's not vertical. So there is oblique. A segment means it's going to stop on both sides, so I don't have to have an arrow. Now it says draw an oblique ray. Again, oblique just means it's not vertical, it's not horizontal, but the second half, ray, means that you have to have an arrow on one side, indicating that goes on for infinity. Again, you can use your book, both in the math lessons and on your Socrative quiz. You can either look it up in the lesson or in the glossary in the back of the book. So, moving into something different, we might remember this from kindergarten or first grade or second grade, and we're talking about number lines. And a number line shows numbers at a certain distance from zero. We can make a number line by carefully marking and numbering a line. Draw out a line, put in what they call the tick marks, and start numbering. On a number line, the distance from one number to a neighboring number is called a unit segment. The distance from 1 to 5 is 4 unit segments. You have to count the space. This area in between is the unit segment. So if they want to know how many unit segments from 1 to 5, you have 1 set of space, 2 sets of space, 3 sets of space, 4 sets of space. You count the spaces, not the lines, because sometimes kids will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's counting the tick marks, not the unit segments. So numbers to the left of 0 on a number line are called the negative numbers. We read the minus sign in front of a number by saying the word negative. So you would read this as -3, not -3. And all of the numbers on the number line shown are called integers, another fancy word that essentially means numbers. But what numbers are we talking about? Integers include all the counting numbers, which is 1 to infinity, all of the negatives of the counting numbers, -1 to infinity, and the number 0. And the lines above each number on a number line is called a tick mark, like we talked about before. So we might see some problems like this. Write the next 5 terms in this counting sequence. We've been doing this since lesson 1, right? Take a look at the rule. Looks to me like we're counting down by 2s. So the next number would be 4. Then we'd have 2. Then we'd have 0, but here's where it gets new and interesting. What would be the next number after 0? -2, right? And what would be the next number after -2? Would be -4. We live in North Dakota and we have some pretty cold winters, so we should be kind of used to those negative numbers, hopefully, right? So check this out. You're going to be asked problems like this a lot. Draw a number line marked with whole numbers from 0 to 5. So let's start off with our number line. Let's go and add some tick marks. So if they want it from 0 to 5, there would be 0, there would be 1, then I'd have 2, making sure that I have about the same amount of space in between each number. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I don't want it real sloppy either. There would be 4, and let's put 5 right about here, right? Now let's take a look at the next half. How many unit segments are there from 2 to 5? So there's the number 2. There's the number 5. Remember, I'm not counting lines. I'm counting spaces. So there is 1 unit segment, 2 unit segments, and that is 3 unit segments from 2 to 5. There would be 3 unit segments. Check out this. On the number line below, arrows A and B indicate integers, indicate some type of number. Write the two integers using a comparison symbol to show which integer is greater. Again, integers just means number. The positive numbers, the negative numbers, and 0. Comparison symbols, that's greater than, less than, or equal to. So the trickiest part right now, we better figure out what these numbers are. Looks like each line I'm counting by 1. So B would be -1, right? That would be the first one. This would be -2, -3, -4. Looks to me like A would be -5, right? So what number is bigger, -5 or -1? Well, the numbers to the right on any number line is always bigger. Up here in North Dakota, we should know -1 is warmer than -5, right? When you get into the negative numbers, the greater the negative, the smaller or colder it is, right? Let's check out this part. What whole number is 6 unit segments to the right of -4? Well, if this is -5, -4 would have to be right here. And they want to know 6 unit segments to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 unit segments to the right would be 2. Tally marks. And we use tally marks. They're basically just little lines to keep track of basic counting jobs. The rule is you put a horizontal segment after the fourth one to group them into groups of 5. And I've never really seen too many 5th graders struggle too much with tally marks. If you wanted to represent 1, you'd just have 1 little line. 2, you'd have 2 little lines. 3, 3 lines. 4, you'd make 4 lines. The only tricky part for 5, you'd make 4 lines and a line through them to group them into a group of 5, right? I haven't ever met too many 5th graders who have too much trouble with tally marks. But I have met 5th graders, and this year, who sometimes have troubles with their equations. From here on out, if the problem has a letter, a variable in it, you need to set your problems up horizontally. You need to show the steps. So I'm going to take a few moments here and go over this again. Your 2 rules in algebra for solving equations. You either want to combine terms, underline any 2 or more numbers if they're on the same side of the equal sign. Isolate the variable. Remember, the variable is the letter. Circle everything except the variable on the same side of the equal sign. Kick it over to the other side and change plus into minus. And then it just says repeat if necessary. So let's take a look at what we got going on, because from here on out, if it has a variable, you must show your steps. So first one says combine terms. Do I have 2 or more terms on this side of the equal sign I can combine? I can't combine 15 and J. Do I have 2 or more terms on that side of the equal sign? Nope, I just have 1 number there, 45. So looks like I go to step 2. Isolate the variable. I want to get that letter J by himself. I'm going to circle plus 15. I'm going to kick him over to the other side, and I'm going to get ready to rewrite my second line. Write everything that is not circled. I did not circle J. I did not circle the equal sign. I didn't circle 45. But I kicked that 15 and that plus over to the other side. I kicked that plus sign so hard he broke into a minus. And now I'm going to go and write my 15. So J is equal to 45 minus 15. I go back to step 1, combine terms, because I can combine 45 minus 15. I get ready to write down everything that's not underlined. I did not underline that J. I did not underline the equal sign, but I did underline 45 minus 15. I don't want to go and write that over again. I want to combine these terms. What is 45 minus 15? Hopefully you know that would be 30. So I just bring down the answer instead of rewriting the numbers, and I know J equals 30. Not too tough on that one. Let's try it a couple more. So here we go again. The 2 steps and only 2 steps in algebra: combine terms or isolate the variable. Do I have any terms to combine? Here is my equal sign. Yes, I do. I can combine 14 plus 11, right? So let's go and rewrite. I read my equations left to right. The first thing I run into is 14 plus 11 underlined. So I don't want to write that over again. What is 14 plus 11? That's 25, right? So let's just write down 25, and now I'm going to write everything else that's not underlined. 25 plus H. I did not circle the equal sign, so let's write that down next. Equals 76. So I want to go and isolate the variable, circle everything except the variable that's on the same side of the equal sign. So I'm going to circle this 25 and this plus sign because H wants to be isolated. He wants to be by himself, and I kick him over to the other side. Get ready to write down everything that is not circled. I did not circle the H. I did not circle the equal sign. I did not circle 76. But I did circle 25 and a plus sign. I kicked that plus sign so hard he broke into a minus, and now I have my 25. Only 2 steps in algebra: combine terms or isolate the variable. Do I have 2 numbers on the same side of the equal sign? Yes, I do. I have 76 minus 25, and I can bring whatever that answer is straight down. But first, we read equations left to right. So start off by writing what's not underlined. I did not underline H. I did not underline the equal sign, but I did underline and combine 76 minus 25. 76 minus 25, hey, that would be 51. So H equals 51. One more. I have 15 plus 25 plus H equals 100. Combine terms or isolate a variable. Looks to me like I have terms to combine right here. 15 plus 25, right? We read equations left to right. The first thing I run into is the numbers I underlined. So I don't want to write down 15 plus 25 over again. Go ahead, combine terms. 15 plus 25, hey, that's 40, right? What did I not underline? I did not underline that plus sign. I did not underline the H. I didn't underline the equal sign, so let's go and write that down. And I did not underline 100. So let's write that down. Only 2 steps in algebra: combine terms or isolate the variable. Looks to me like it's time to go and isolate a variable. Circle everything except the variable on the same side of the equal sign. H wants to be by himself. So let's go ahead and circle the plus and the 40. Kick him over to the other side, and I kicked him so hard the plus sign broke. He turned into a minus. Let's write down everything that's not circled. I did not circle H. I did not circle that equal sign. I did not circle that 100. But I did circle and kick a 40 and a plus sign. So change plus into minus. And now let's write down the 40. 2 steps and 2 steps only in algebra: combine terms or isolate the variable. I have to combine these terms, 100 minus 40, but we read the equation left to right. Start off by writing everything that is not underlined. I did not underline H. I did not underline the equal sign, but I did underline 100 minus 40, so I don't want to write that again. I just want to go and write down the answer. H is equal to 60. And if you're not sure about it, go ahead and plug in 60 in place of H. 15 plus 25 is 40, plus another 60 that we say H is equal to. Hey, that does equal 100, doesn't it? So that, my friends, is the end. Again, feel free to use your book, either the glossary or look on your pages around page 74 for the Socrative quiz. And remember, anything that has a variable, you must show all your horizontal steps. Make sure that you understand how to set them up. Okay, good luck.
That's all, folks.